All right, let's get this started, shall we?
Perfect. Yes,
All right.
let's get started.
So we're very pleased to have you with us today, and please let me briefly introduce your company. Our company, Crypto Insiders, is a Hong Kong-based blockchain news platform that specializes in exclusive interviews, comprehensive coverage of global Web3 events, and we aim to serve as a bridge and a platform to connect people from all over the world together. And today we're very happy to have Sandro here with us for this exclusive interview. And before we get started, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. Sandra here. I'm currently in Germany. Pretty much grew up in like professionally in the TradFi sector. So that was kind of move for me to the Web3 space. I'm currently setting up here my own company for consulting, strategy, and regulation consulting for TradFi and also Web3, and also doing consulting for DAOs. So that pretty much combines all the Web3 base
Awesome.
characteristics.
Awesome. And I know you're kind of expert in consulting crypto space, especially in crypto regulations, and you have achieved great success in the field. What inspired you to pursue a career in crypto industry? And if so, when did this journey begin?
Yeah, my journey pretty much started in December 2020, where I first began with a certain DeFi, like certain apps, where I really discovered how it's working, and I was really excited to play around. But of course, you saw it was very much in the beginning, and you saw kind of many flaws. You saw that many things didn't really work well,
Mhm.
and that really came to my point where since I'm coming from traditional finance and I was a product owner for like robo advisory tools, I kind of know like at least in terms of the European regulation would be necessary to really bring it up and drive and also like let adoption thrive. So I was really seeing it as a next step for me to really go from traditional finance to crypto or like certain hybrid solution in the end. But that really caught my interest and led me to leave my old job and kind of pursue my way into Web3.
Definitely, definitely. And I know that you have a background in investment funds as well. And how do you think they have contributed to your professional success in the crypto industry?
I think, like in my opinion, TradFi is really beneficial. Like a background in TradFi is really beneficial for crypto. Still, you have two worlds. On one hand side, you have like the TradFi world that views crypto or Web3 kind of suspiciously, or let's say as a playground.
Right.
Even though it's kind of approaching each other nowadays with the upcoming regulation is kind of easing it, but still, TradFi needs a lot of clarity to kind of go further. On the other hand, you have crypto and Web3 that views TradFi suspiciously in the sense that they want to take control over it and it doesn't understand like the regulation or the proven processes that have already been kind of established in TradFi. So it's always like they kind of speak the same language but mean like kind of the opposite and therefore don't understand each other. And that's
Uh,
for me like the beneficial part where you sometimes you have to take a couple of steps back for like TradFi to explain it, and also like a couple of steps back in for the Web3 people to really explain where that it come from. Like for example, like the upcoming regulation, crypto regulation here in Germany or in Europe, is basically it's they didn't reinvent the wheel. They just applied existing regulation that have already been there for 10, 15 years to kind of kryptonize it,
Kryptonize
Web3nize
it.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
It's a
some
new
some
word.
people are, yeah, right.
Yeah.
And some people really were surprised, but I wasn't really surprised. Of course, there were some nuances that were different, of course.
Right. Right.
Otherwise, they wouldn't have like a new brought up like a new regulation. But in the end, customer protection and institutional protection are pretty much the same. And that also led to the point where companies that already had a certain certificate or allowance for certain services in the TradFi sector can easily get an allowance for crypto since it's so similar. So they pretty much ease it for like companies that already are in the game. Of course, there is an entrance barrier for Web3 startups, but like if you understand the regulation, it's not like they didn't reinvent the wheel. Even they sell it like that.
Interesting. Interesting. So do you think your connection back when you're working in investment funds has helped you to overcome that barrier to get into the crypto industry in a sense?
It's hard because you grow up with a lot of prejudice.
Hmm.
So pretty much like everything that is not already set by the regulators is kind of false.
Right.
And crypto is pretty much that sector where it's still a little bit of a wild west. It kind of lost its wildness, at least in Europe,
Hmm.
since it has to come to a certain round where like serious business has to be made. Um, it on one hand it was beneficial because you understood it, but the emotional part is still a big part where many people, even though they understand that, they can refuse because it's so negatively connotated.
Right.
And I experienced that with my network a lot. Like 2 years ago, when I said I'm gonna quit my job, everybody looked at me like, "Oh my God, you're gonna be
You're
a taxi
crazy.
driver."
You're gonna be homeless in 2 years.
Right. And now they're kind of approaching me like, "Hey, you said something. Can you do a workshop for us?" And that is actually beneficial for me
Yep.
now,
Yep.
because I speak both languages now.
You got the vision before they even realize that. All right. Interesting. So I know you own a company that specializes in crypto regulation. So I'm kind of interested in hearing some of your thoughts on the new Hong Kong crypto regulations. So Hong Kong Securities and Future Commission will begin accepting application for crypto trading platform license on June 1st. So based on your experience, do you believe this change will have a positive or a negative impact on the market in Hong Kong?
In my opinion, there's a potential. Of course, there can be like a certain part because like Singapore and Dubai are kind of steps ahead. But and the big part is since mainland China is so restrictive on crypto, Hong Kong can actually benefit from from the regulation that is coming up. What many people don't understand, large investors need clarity, and if Hong Kong commits to Web3, even like a small amount, like it doesn't have to be like a full commitment, but if there is a certain development that Hong Kong gets more Web3 friendly with a good comprehensive framework, people will deploy money, and of course it won't happen overnight, because still Singapore and Dubai have done their work a lot earlier, but Hong Kong has such a unique position, like historically also, where Hong Kong still can attract a lot of money and a lot of investors, and not lead them to Singapore or Dubai. So let them stay there. Even though like you have like mainland China with still a lot of expertise, blockchain expertise that are kind of restricted now, to say the least. And that is still a unique position where Hong Kong could attract also those brains and into Hong Kong in order to really drive as like another hub for crypto in Asia.
Definitely. So you think the new policy will actually attract more foreign investors to Hong Kong instead of hindering the relationship with all the foreign investors?
I think yes. Of course, in the end, it's about the details,
Hmm.
and it's about how they will set up. But in the end, if it's constructive and if it's like good clarity in regulations, that is one point that investors like to make their check mark. Is it good? Do we get in any trouble? Yes, no. If not, they can set it up, and they can set it up for long term. If there's increasing uncertainty, even after passing of the regulations, that can be destructive over long term because
Hmm.
investors don't like uncertainty, and investors need to calculate. Otherwise, they it wouldn't make any sense to deploy money.
Definitely. And people have been saying that China used Hong Kong as a testing ground. So we'll see how that turns out. But I really optimistic on how this is gonna turn out because I feel like cryptocurrency is definitely gonna be the future. And
Actually, I thought that too, because where China is using Hong Kong as a kind of testing ground,
yeah.
since it is such, you know, such two worlds now. On one hand, you
Definitely.
have really, really restrictive one. On the other hand, China is kind of pragmatic in that sense. Okay, let's do something. Let's
Hmm.
try it, and then we'll take anything that just benefits mainland,
Oh yeah,
and
definitely.
we'll see. And that's kind of, yeah. That was actually one of my first thoughts, but I was like, yeah, okay, might be too emotional, but yeah. On
Right.
the other hand, it's actually
Definitely.
not that far away.
Yeah. I mean, it's always been like that for us, so we're kind of used to it. To be used as a testing ground.
Well, as a white person, I can't say anything.
I mean, that means more opportunities for me. We just gotta be
Yeah,
smart
of
with
course.
it.
Yeah,
So yeah,
yeah, yeah.
definitely. So I've got some question regarding central bank digital currency as well, if you don't mind, because I know you have done workshop on digital euros and all that. How do you see CBDCs coexisting with cryptocurrency in the future financial ecosystem? Do you see them coexisting, or do you see them conflicting each other?
I see them coexisting. Of course, there is an overlap for now, since people who are maybe in countries that have unstable currency use stable coins or even other cryptocurrencies. But in general, there are two different use cases, in my opinion. CBDC is all about legal tender, having like a trusted means of payments that can advantage that can take the advantages of the technological advancements of cryptocurrencies for now. But on the and therefore like citizens and also the industry, like ordinary industry, like apart crypto, can really benefit from like really instant settlements, transparency, but also the point that CBDCs act like like the money we know,
Hmm.
but are so much faster and can be deployed so much instantly. So that is actually like a really big advantage. Cryptocurrencies, on the other hand, have more variety. You have you have stable coins, you have NFTs, you have certain utility tokens that get benefits like out of a real use case. It's much more, let's say, it's much more variety in it,
Hmm.
and they can still function to a certain extent as a legal, like as a tender between peer-to-peer transactions. But as a nation state, and that is basically like the biggest trust we have for now,
Right.
is CBDC is like the best compromise for now, that because it is not issued by like a private company, therefore private risk and also business risk. It is actually issued by the central bank that has like the political power. We know that a lot of is going wrong, but that doesn't mean like private companies are so much better. So you
Hmm.
need to have like a certain public entity that actually guarantees a certain thing, and that is the CBDC. Even
Definitely.
though
Huh?
maybe one sentence,
Yeah.
CBDC is that it is not like a fixed term. You know,
Hmm.
China issued a CBDC. We in Europe wouldn't agree at all with that version of the CBDC.
Right.
It's like a very broad term, and I don't think there is one solution. It is, and that is also like it is a good thing, but also a difficulty.
Definitely. And then security has always been a big topic when it comes to cryptocurrency, CBDC, and all that. How do you compare the security between CBDC and just cryptocurrency in general? Do you see CBDC as more like a safer choice for investors, or what's your opinion on it?
It is still a hot topic. I would divide security into multiple levels. On one hand, you have the technical level. Cryptocurrencies usually have a consensus mechanisms like proof of work or proof of stake with
Mhm.
certain validators really checking that the transaction is valid. On the other hand, you have the CBDC that is basically issued centrally. So you don't really need validators that really check, okay, do we have, is there a certain double spending we have to prevent? And there is one point that is actually good, that since you don't you don't need to have like the double spending issue, or you don't have the double spending issue, you can actually put it like to like an offline capability. We're such in an interconnected world that we don't even realize sometimes the internet just doesn't work for a couple of seconds. And if there is a transaction in a large amount that we're having like in all over the world, crypto, or like the consensus mechanism that is like usually used in crypto wouldn't really work, or would halt all the transactions, all the business that is made. So CBDC can have like an offline capability where the transaction is basically executed, and you don't need like huge overlap between certain consensus mechanisms, and therefore you can also increase accessibility. People will use cards, and the card could be your digital euro wallet. In the end, nobody cares how the customer use it. The technology in the background is instant settlement. So that is like the things that are like an advantage. The disadvantage, of course, is you have one centralized party that can freeze everything. Definitely. They can basically seize everything, and depending on how it's done, you don't have any privacy. Right. In Europe, we're actually now really debating the privacy part of the digital euro, where on one hand we'll say, oh my God, it's perfect because it can't be really faked. It's in one ecosystem. No digital euro will go in, no digital euro will go out. So there is actually like a certain point where it's a fixed amount that the central bank knows it. So it's not the same point where the new cash notes have to be issued because there are so many fake notes. On the other hand, is like you don't have any alternative. So if the bank freeze, or if the central bank, because of something that had happened somewhere, freezes your account, you might switch to cryptocurrency or cash, if cash still exists at that time.
You never know.
We'll never know. We'll never know. Like in the Scandinavian countries.
Yeah,
the Scandinavian countries already don't really use cash anymore, because also like the citizens' trust in that government is so high, and actually it is like they have a reason that is so high, because there is such low corruption and stuff, that they say, why should I use cash? Why should I have a fallback? In Germany, however, Germany is considered as like the most cash effing country in the European Union. So those discussions really trigger people here. And I understand that, but even I don't have the same fear. I know the rationale behind it. So it's really, it's a point of a centralized point where privacy, we see it also like in China, privacy is not a thing. And that is something that here in Europe is highly valued, but also could be under certain regulation because of terrorism financing or something, could be like, we have to prevent that, so we're compromising privacy. And that is still a very big issue that's coming up.
And Hong Kong is kind of a new booming market as well, and there's so many young investors out there. And would you advise them to invest in CBDC and maybe sacrifice a little bit of privacy, or would you rather to advise them to invest in cryptocurrency and sacrifice a little bit of security? Which one would you advise them to do?
If you would have the choice between stablecoins and CBDC, I would say maybe like a good mix, to say, okay, we have a certain stablecoin, USDC, for example, that has the US dollars in a bank account, that you can actually use on exchanges and crypto exchanges. A CBDC you can't use. That is mostly the part where it's cash equivalent. You always can access it. It's kind of on the first level. It's kind of without any price action, even though it is due to
Mhm.
inflation. On the other hand, if you want to bet on projects, you can always. I would strongly advise to say to also invest in projects you believe in, but then do your thorough research. Don't ape in certain coins that you just seen on Twitter. It's always like it's a mix in the end, and I would really separate crypto, like use case driven currencies that are NFTs or utility tokens, and like stable coins that are really backed, because they don't have the same yeah program or use case behind it as like yeah the cryptocurrency like we
Definitely.
know.
Yeah, these are some good advice. And about yourself, do you have any upcoming events in the Web3 space that you're excited about or would like to share with us?
I actually love local Web3 events that are slowly coming up again. Like, for example, in Frankfurt, we have one that is called GMFFM.
Hmm.
And it's pretty much like people from Hamburg even come. Like, it's a 4 or 5 hour drive just for one meeting.
Uh-huh.
And it's a meetup where like small projects pitch and they they really show what they're passionate about. And you see a lot of people just enjoying the three. It's really like without any restrictions. You can just come and be yourself. And we basically drink beer from like an NFT brewery that basically issues NFT to get you beer. Of course, in Germany you have to do that.
That sounds like a good day to me.
Actually, it's called Meta Brew Society. It's so fun.
Yeah.
And it's like it's just that one. But if we go a little bit further, because like not everyone lives in Germany and speaks German, it's always like bigger conferences. I'm going to ECC. I'm going to 2049 in Singapore. It's like just get in touch with people. Just go into touch grass. Go into physical events, and really just go to like-minded people. For example, on Friday, I was in Amsterdam for the Web3 conference, and it was also my first time as a panel speaker. And
Right.
it was so fun, and I met so many great people. And it's just like sometimes you feel kind of home, it's like in day to day, not many people understand Web3, not many people share the compassion, but like honest compassion, not just like to make quick money. And it's just amazing. And then you get
Definitely.
a lot of knowledge.
Yeah, exactly. It's always good to make some good connection, make some quick money. It's always nice. Do you think there's a
Yeah,
big difference on how people view cryptocurrency in, let's say, Germany and Singapore and Amsterdam? Because you mentioned that you went to Amsterdam for a panel speaking.
yeah.
So do you think there's a lot of difference on how people just view the market in general?
Definitely. I think it couldn't be more different, since like Germany is very conservative in general. So
Hmm.
they always in Germany you say you have like a solution that should fit 120% of everything you require. So like even like the the use case that is so unlikely, like the edge case of the edge case of the edge case, is always like disputed until it's really dead. And that's why a single con argument really is brought up every time crypto comes up. And it's hard, it's really hard to really um to really get them again, the people, and really say, hey, let's take a couple of steps back. Whereas like in Singapore, it might be like much easier to talk about crypto, or
Definitely.
even Amsterdam, since it's like, and the Netherlands are much more open, even though
Open-minded, yeah.
uh open-minded. But even though like the tornado cash dilemma was, I think it was in the Netherlands. So it's still like an evolution. And like Germany, like if you look like 5 years back, it has done a giant leap forward. But still, if you compare it like on a global scale, now since the regulatory clarity comes a little bit in, people are kind of taking it more seriously. It's not just like a gambling ground. And actually, what's most important, the industry where the money is slowly comes and they're like, hey, now we have like a certain clarity. We'll operate in that clarity network framework, and that's why we're going there. It's not about, oh my god, we love the technology. It's more like, okay, it has some advantages, and we have clarity. We don't have too much risk. It's all about risk management for the companies.
Definitely.
So yeah.
And before we start wrapping up, do you have any final thoughts or insight that you would like to share regarding the current state of the future prospect of cryptocurrency?
It's like, I think the Web3 space is such a diverse space, but I need to have more inclusion. For now, it's mostly like male dominated, and of course, like the part where, for example, like female participants are coming slowly into the space. It needs to be more. There has to be more alternatives to, like, for example, there's a women DAO that really approaches like diversity of founders. So it's really what the crypto space still needs, and that probably comes with adoption. Needs more inclusion, because with that inclusion, also like better solutions will come up, and better discussions, and even thorough deep discussions that will actually lead to probably really good solutions. So that's actually the only thing I really miss for now. Like everything else will slowly go. We have the regulation, we have a little bit of adoption. It slowly comes, and it's mostly like big brands have to step in there, and sometimes they don't even tell it's an NFT, it's a collectible now. So it's a little bit of the burned words won't get used anymore, which is good, but which is also bad, because people or the industry kind of fails to really own those words how they're meant to be. So it just stays like a bird word, and we'll move to the next one. But like in general, it's like more diversity, more good discussions, more and that's also how you make good investments. Debate with people, really go into the details, and just not scream everything like let's fucking go. Just go into the details and really see which project has a good product market fit, and yeah, speak with founders, speak with people who are actually on the ground doing it.
Right.
That's what I really like.
Definitely. And I feel like the crypto market is still in the early stage right now. And with more exposure, we'll definitely get more diversity. So
yeah. Sometimes we feel like it's already like big, but we're stuck in a bubble.
Yeah, we are.
That's sometimes really interesting when I talk to my friends, and they're not like, many of my friends are not into crypto at all. And I still don't know what I'm doing. They're like, "Oh, you're a speaker. Why? Is it a big thing?" But like, one of my friends, I gifted him an NFT, just like it was not super expensive. It was just for fun, just to get him something, and he didn't really know how to react. He was like, a JPEG. I'm like, no, it's not a JPEG.
Use it as a wallpaper on your phone. That's funny.
I can screenshot it here.
That's funny.
Yeah, that's really like a transition. But yeah, I really like to be that early in a space, so we can still do a lot and still have a certain voice. Yeah.
Definitely. And I'm afraid that's all the time we have for today. Thank you again, Sandro. It's very nice to meet you.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. All right.
It was so fun. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. All right. Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.